Hello! In this video, we'll be looking at asking for clarification and repetition in an interview. We will discuss what asking for clarification and repetition means and give some examples of each. Clarification is when you don't understand something the interviewer says, so you ask him or her to make it clearer. Repetition is when you ask the interviewer to repeat or say again something that they said. In a job interview, there may be times when you won't understand every question an interviewer asks you. This may be especially true if you're doing an interview in a language that is not your first, such as English. It is perfectly normal that sometimes you won't understand everything the interviewer asks you. You shouldn't panic. Good interviewees have the same difficulty, but they usually have some strategies or ways of working around a difficulty that allows them to better understand what the interviewer is asking. Asking for clarification and repetition are two such strategies. Let's imagine the interviewer just asked you the following question. Could you tell me what kind of skills you might bring to this position? Now, let's say you don't understand the question. We're going to look at 3 useful expressions you can use to either ask the interviewer for clarification or repetition. The first expression is, "I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question. Could you repeat that, please?" The interviewee begins by apologizing for not understanding what was said. "I'm sorry." This shows politeness. The interviewee then goes on to say that he or she didn't understand. "I didn't understand your question." Finally, the interviewee asks politely if the interviewer could repeat the question by saying, "Could you repeat that, please?" Notice how could is used here, which is a more polite or less direct way of asking for something. Could you repeat that, please? The second expression is, "I'm not quite sure I understood you correctly. Did you mean?" In this case, the interviewee is making sure that he or she understands the question the interviewer just asked. The interviewee might say, "I'm not quite sure I understood you correctly. Did you mean what type of qualifications will I use in this job?" The interviewer will usually say yes or no and then give more explanation. So the interviewer might say, "Actually, no, I was asking what kind of skills might you bring to this position?" Notice how the interviewee first uses the expression, "I'm not quite sure I understood you correctly." The interviewee could have said, "I didn't understand you." But "I'm not quite sure I understood you correctly" is more polite and therefore sounds better. Let's look at one final expression. If I understand you correctly, you're asking. Again, the interviewee uses a more polite expression rather than saying, "I don't understand you," which could sound too direct to the interviewer. If I understand you correctly, you're asking me what kind of skills I will bring to this job. The interviewer might then say, "Yes, that's correct." In this video, we have looked at ways of asking an interviewer to repeat or clarify information in a question. These are useful expressions you can use if you don't fully understand what the interviewer is asking you. Next, we will play a game to practice appropriate interview questions.